All right, breaking news coming in right at the top of the bulletin. In fact, after conducting aerial survey of Odisha and West Bengal, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced rupees 1,000 crore financial assistance package to the affected states by Cyclone Yaas. 500 has been allocated for Odisha, while remaining 500 crores will be distributed between West Bengal and Jharkhand. So 1,000 crore help coming in from the centre, 500 crore for Odisha, and 250 crores each in West Bengal and Jharkhand. Now, Odisha, West Bengal were battled by Cyclone Yaas for 3 consecutive days because of the heavy rains before and after the cyclone as well. Loss of life in West Bengal, a few people lost their lives, and huge damage of property as well in West Bengal and also in the state of Odisha. The review meeting today by the Prime Minister and the Chief Ministers of the respective states was supposed to be a collective effort. This now has turned into a flashpoint in West Bengal. Sources have told India Today Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankhar waited for 30 minutes for Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee to attend the meeting. Sources also say Mamata Banerjee stormed the meeting and handed over documents and didn't allow Bengal officials to carry out the presentation as well. Lashing out at the Chief Minister, Bengal Governor tweeted it would have served the people's interest if Chief Minister would have attended the review meeting chaired by the Prime Minister. However, Mamata Banerjee says she was not aware of any review meeting, but she still handed over the documents to the Prime Minister. TMC hitting back questioned Governor, saying under what provisions Nandigram MLA Shubhendu Adhikari was part of the review meeting headed by the central and the state government.
মিটিং ডেকেছিলেন, কিন্তু আমরা তো জানতাম না আমাদের দীঘায় প্রোগ্রাম ছিল, সুতরাং তবুও আমরা সেখান থেকে আবার কলাইকুণ্ডায় গিয়েছিলাম এবং কলাইকুণ্ডায় গিয়ে প্রধানমন্ত্রীর হাতে আমাদের যা ক্ষয়ক্ষতি হয়েছে তার একটা রিপোর্ট আমার সাথে চিফ সেক্রেটারি আলাপন বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় ছিল, আমরা হাতে তুলে দিয়ে বলেছি এইটা হচ্ছে আমাদের রিপোর্ট এবং আপনি যা ভালো বুঝবেন তাই করবেন। দীঘা ডেভেলপমেন্টের জন্য 10,000 কোটি টাকার যদি একটা প্যাকেজ করা যায়, আর একটা সুন্দরবন ডেভেলপমেন্ট করার জন্য যদি 10,000 কোটি টাকার প্যাকেজ করা যায়, এই 20,000 কোটি টাকার প্যাকেজের কথা আমরা বলেছি।
Okay, so that was Mamata Banerjee. In fact, the BJP has gone on a complete offensive as far as the Bengal Chief Minister is concerned, calling this not only trying to dictate the protocol, but also unbecoming of the Chief Minister. The BJP has also said that Mamata Banerjee was trying to dictate the terms of this meeting, and it was not only in West Bengal, but also in Odisha that the governor and the opposition, leader of opposition, were invited for the review meeting. Going across to National Affairs Editor Rahul Srivastava, who is joining us live with more details. Rahul, you know, this bitter fight continues. We saw a very bitter election campaign in West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee coming out on the top, but the fact is it doesn't seem that things have been forgiven and forgotten as far as the Chief Minister is concerned.
Ankit, what is very clear that there are 2 key political parties now in Bengal, and they seem to be building up a political battle which will continue to have these kind of flashpoints or scenes. If you recall, on January 23rd, on the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Mamata Banerjee had walked out in a huff after her speech was disrupted with slogans of Jai Shri Ram and people shouting in favor of Mr. Narendra Modi. Now, this is the first time they have actually come face to face since that January 23 attendance when they were together, and in between lies that bitter election campaign. Now, political campaigns are different from administrative issues. This is one of the rarest of the rare cases where one finds that a chief minister presents a report on a damage, does not join a review meeting, which is eventually for the benefit of the people of the state. Not only here, in fact, interestingly in Odisha also, Odisha, the Chief Minister has submitted to the Prime Minister that right now the state will like to manage the disaster relief on its own and will not expect any help from the center. Of course, Mr. Patnaik has been gracious enough to say that at a time when the exchequer has a lot of burden, he will not like to overburden the state. But what is very critical, Ankit, is that these battles which are building up are actually weakening the battle against COVID-19, a pandemic. Unprecedented situation is inviting an unprecedented breakdown in the administrative federal mechanism of this country. And that's disastrous.
Okay. Rahul, may I request you to stay on with me? We are also being joined by Mr. Riju Dutta. He is representing the point of view of the TMC. And we are also getting Gopal Krishna Agarwal from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Gentlemen, welcome to 6 p.m. Prime. I want to very quickly start by asking you, Mr. Dutta, is the ego of the Chief Minister, that is how the BJP is terming it, hampering not only the relief and rescue, but also at this moment, as the West Bengal governor has alleged, putting the interests of the people of West Bengal, not ahead of her own political battle with the BJP?
Well, Ankit, let me give you some facts and figures. Mamata Banerjee was the person who spent her night in the secretariat monitoring this cyclone, and post-cyclone, she has started an initiative called Duare Tran, where she has kept 1,000 crores aside, and it will start from 3rd of June to 18th of June. She will accept all the applications of people who have been displaced, whose properties have been damaged, 19th to 30th scrutiny, and 1st to 8th July, the money will go directly into the bank accounts of the people who have been displaced or whose properties have been damaged by the cyclone. So this is the step that we have already taken. Now, coming to the meeting, I have some very sharp and pointed questions. First of all, the meeting was chaired by the Prime Minister of the country. The Chief Minister was present, the head of the state, the constitutional head, the governor was also present. Now, she went there. She met the Prime Minister. She gave the damage and the status report to the Prime Minister, sought his permission, and went to Digha for her review meeting because it was a pre-planned meeting and the PMO was notified of that. What is wrong in it? This is not the time for chit-chat.
Mr. Datta, Mr. Datta, but are you telling me that Mamata Banerjee did not even know that the Prime Minister is going to be there for this meeting, for review meeting for some time? Because what we are only learning is that she went there, she half an hour late, presented a file, and went out. I mean, the Chief Minister, as any visiting dignitary to her state, that is the Prime Minister coming to her state, that too on a review meeting for a cyclone, would the Chief Minister not have stayed for some time, listened to the presentation and spoken in detail with the Prime Minister about this? Or just Shubhendu Adhikari was the trigger point? She can't stand person who defeated her.
Well, before coming to Shubhendu, I'll answer your question, Ankit. Like I said earlier, that Mamata Banerjee has already given a reimbursement of, she has kept aside 1,000 crores for the people who have been displaced, whose properties have been damaged. Now, the Prime Minister is conducting a review meeting to assess.
That's not what I'm asking what she's doing. I am asking what happened today about the protocol and about the politics.
Exactly. You're not letting me finish. Just let me finish, Ankit, please. So basically, I am saying Prime Minister is here to assess the situation on ground. She has filed a report to the Prime Minister and she has gone to her people. Whether it is the Prime Minister, Chief Minister or the Government of India, it is for the people, by the people and of the people. More than protocol chit-chats and a cup of tea, it is more important to cater to the people right now who are in distress. So that is what the Chief Minister of the state has done. She had followed protocol. She has met
So it is more important, and I'm sure that it was important, and a 10-15 minute hiatus would not have stopped her from doing what she wanted to do and go to Digha. But Gopal Krishna Agarwal, I want to ask you, in what constitutional capacity was Mr. Shubhendu Adhikari also present in the meeting? That seems to have triggered this anger from Mamata Banerjee. It is also the Bharatiya Janata Party who's trying to play politics or rub the salt as far as the Chief Minister of Bengal is concerned. Constitutional head of the state, the governor, the elected Chief Minister and the Prime Minister should have been in fact discussing this. What was the need for a Shubhendu Adhikari there? Gopal Krishna Agarwal, can you hear me?
Can I add a couple of questions, Ankit? before we get the...
Okay, I think there is some audio problem there with Gopal Krishna Agarwal. We'll try and fix that. But Rahul, if I can bring this question to you, can you give us any precedents in these kind of official tours of the Prime Minister coming for review after some disaster? Is it a norm usually that the opposition leaders are also invited?
Ankit, usually these review meetings are between the administrative head, that is the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister, and also the officials. Now, what we can say is that was it just Bengal? Because in Odisha also, the leader of opposition, Mr. Pradip, was called for the meeting, but he's down with COVID, but he could not attend. Not only Shubhendu Adhikari as leader of opposition, but also Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who is a senior leader of the Congress party from the state, was invited for this review meeting. And Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary didn't say no to the meeting, but he wrote back politely that he has got certain engagement, because of which he cannot be attending the meeting.
Okay.
So the fact remains, Ankit, that whosoever is invited, is there a breakdown? The crisis is, Ankit, the breakdown. That even if Shubhendu Adhikari is there, does it mean that Mamata Banerjee or the Chief Minister will have a problem attending the meeting, even if he is invited? That means that there is a breakdown in Bengal inside the assembly also, where the leader of opposition and the Chief Minister can't work together now. The Prime Minister comes and the review meeting is not attended. That means that the PM and the Chief Minister can't work together. This is a breakdown which the people of Bengal should see, because they have voted Mamata Banerjee and Narendra Modi's party as the number 1 and number 2 party.
Yes.
Okay, now can I come in, Ankit, please?
I'm going to come to more on that, Rahul, but I think Gopal Krishna Agarwal, we have established that connection with him. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, as I was asking Rahul Srivastava, it was about the review of the administrations. Usually, it is just about the Chief Minister and the Prime Minister reviewing, and the Chief Minister, in fact, speaking to them, giving them a ground report. What was the need to invite the leader of opposition? Was it just to political point scoring, just to rub it in as far as Mamata Banerjee is concerned?
Seems to be right constitutionally, as the governor has also said. It's not the one time. This is not the first time. It had been there in the COVID meeting also. It is not correct. She has to understand that the state and in the federal structure, state and center have to work together. And the hierarchy also describes that the Prime Minister is the head of the country and that the Chief Minister is the head of the state. So that hierarchy and that prerogative of the Prime Minister, whom he calls, or etc., protocols, all these things are from the Prime Minister's side. He has called a meeting. It is in the interest.
Okay, I'm afraid I'm not able to hear what Gopal Krishna Agarwal is saying.
You are not getting my voice. Hello? I'm getting your voice. Hello?
All right, let me, I'm not able to, I'm afraid I'm not able to hear what Gopal Krishna Agarwal is saying, but let me bring it back to Riju Dutta. Riju Dutta, whether it was Shubhendu Adhikari or anybody else, this entire meeting was for the betterment of the state of West Bengal. By the behavior that Mamata Banerjee has in fact shown, it's just not about political courtesy. It just shows that she is unwilling to work with the central government and also with the opposition party in the state.
See, Ankit, again I will tell you, even if she would have sat for say half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour with the Prime Minister, what did the Prime Minister eventually say? 1,000 crores between 3 states, when one state does not even want grant but has got the bigger share of the pie. 500 crores for Odisha, good for them. But what will it bring? And now the question is, if the Prime Minister wants the leader of the opposition, it is first of all not mentioned in any provision of the constitution. And if you wanted to talk about the MLAs, then he could have called the MLAs whose districts have been ravaged by the cyclone. And last but not the least, I want to ask you a more important question to you, Ankit, and to the viewers, is that there was a huge fiasco a few days ago in Bengal regarding the Naroda case, where 2 ministers and 1 MLA was arrested after the charge sheet was filed by the CBI. This same man whose name is mentioned in that same charge sheet, and now he's in a review meeting with the Prime Minister of the state. And we are discussing about law and order and the destruction of the federal structure. Where is the law and order in the country? Why is the CBI not arresting this man?
Sir, we are discussing the federal structure because the Chief Minister today, I totally agree with what you are saying, but the Chief Minister today, as the guest of the state, the Prime Minister should have at least been accorded a little more courtesy than she did. But Rahul, in conclusion, because I'm sorry I'm not able to get Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, please tell me, isn't this a legitimate question that the opposition should ask or possibly is asking right now to the Prime Minister and the BJP? How many times has the Prime Minister invited the opposition parties during the COVID pandemic? The question is legitimate. We have seen a second wave. The Prime Minister initially was only busy in the election rallies. Even when the government tried to come to the helm of affairs, they've hardly seen that sort of a political unity, even at the national level, by the current government.
Ankit, I think the biggest crisis today India faces, much worse than even the COVID pandemic, is I think the future of India as a federal democracy is in peril because of the kind of battles which we are seeing between the center and the state. When you say that leader of opposition being invited, I think we will lean on facts, Ankit, and leave the rest for the viewers. Prime Minister visited recently Gujarat to assess and review the damage done by Tokte. Was the leader of opposition, Mr. Paresh Dhanani, there? If he was there and invited, then this was fair to call Mr. Subhendu Adhikari at the meeting. If it was not, it is up to the public. The fact is, even if it was an unfair, politically cheeky act by the BJP, I will still say that the Chief Minister of Bengal had an opportunity to perhaps present her side properly. There is something called political niceties. I think that day in January 23rd, when the Mamata Banerjee speech was disrupted, I think somebody from the BJP should have stopped the people.
Right.
These are political niceties being lost daily, and that is imperiling the future of India as a federal democracy.
Absolutely, and that happened in the presence of the Prime Minister. This time, Mamata Banerjee also possibly still not over the kind of campaign that we saw in West Bengal. But the fact is, there is a very important role of the opposition in a federal democratic structure. It is imperative on both the central government and, of course, even the Chief Minister of West Bengal to make sure that opposition is taken along. They themselves also are representatives of the people. Thank you so much, Rahul Srivastava, Riju Dutta, for joining us. I'm afraid we could not connect to Gopal Krishna Agarwal for a point of view specifically from the Bharatiya Janata Party, but that's all the time that I have in this face-off. But on the other side of this short commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, a detailed report, because I've spent a lot of time here, from this hospital in Chandnagar here, Chandranagar here in West Bengal. We'll get you that. We'll talk to a few people as well. And also ground reports of the COVID suffering from